Hi, my name is Heather Robertson-Devine. I am a bilingual teacher and the owner of Books del Sur. We publish children's books, usually in Spanish, but today, for International Women's Day, March 8th, 2017, I'd like to share with you that, that one over there, Frida Kahlo, in English. In Spanish, we also publish Frida Kahlo, Violeta Parra, y Juana Zerdui, and we distribute lots of amazing children's books from Latin America. So, you don't need to see me. I'm going to switch my screen and show you the book and read it to you. So here it is, Frida Kahlo, for boys and girls. It was originally written by Nadia Fink and Pitu Sa, but it was translated from Spanish into English by Barbara Mergen Alvarado and Jesus Alvarado. And a little bit about the Anti-Princess series. You have to get dirty to play. Why do people talk about important women and men wherever they speak about history? Do they mean important like fancy, who can't go out and play and get dirty, or important like superheroes with superpowers who seem so distant, sort of like that, but not really? When we say important, we mean people who didn't mind getting dirty while growing up and having fun, and didn't just wait for something to happen. They also used superpowers, but of a different kind. They dared to do something more, to understand the world in a different way, to overcome obstacles, and to leave something for future generations. This is how we began spinning these tales, short or long journeys with pictures and words, telling stories that deserve to be told, as in the case of Frida Kahlo. And this is the story of our first Anti-Princesa. And there she is from the beginning. Frida was born on July 6, 1907 in Coyoacan, a town in Mexico. But she always said she was born in 1910. Why? Because that year, a great revolution was started by peasants in her country. She decided that she and the New Mexico had been born together. Why do we like Frida and her colorful art so much? Where did she get all the images that are painted on canvas and come to life on their own? Maybe from the time she was little, maybe from the time she was a little girl, Frida wanted to bring everything that made her special, like all painters do, but even more. But why more? This is Frida's famous nosy little dog, or Escuincle, as they are called in Mexico, which I'm told. Because Frida came from a hardworking family, but her father helped her a lot, and all things were more difficult for her as a woman. At the time, women were usually only homemakers, but many other things also made Frida a very special artist. It all began when she was 6 years old. When she was 6, Frida caught an illness that made her right leg grow less, so it was shorter than her left leg. She had a limp all of her life. Frida walked slowly, but she never stopped moving forward. Her father was a photographer and did portraits of people with his camera. He and Frida went for long walks, and they also liked to paint the scenery they saw as they went along. By the time Frida became a painter, she had learned many things from her father. The look on people's faces, the way to color things. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's still focus on Frida as a little girl and her going to school. In order to go to school, Frida had to pass a very difficult test to enter the best preparatory school for high school in Mexico City. At the time, it was almost impossible for women to study because it was only important for men to go to school. In spite of this, she was one of the 35 girls who went to school with 2,000 boys. Frida tried to hide her shorter leg by wearing trousers. In elementary school, boys made fun of her, but in prep school, they started to look at her in a different way. Fun-loving Frida, clever Frida, intelligent and rebellious Frida. And who is this man? Well, it's not a man, it's Frida. In some pictures of the time, she wore a suit and pretended to be a boy when her father took her picture with her sisters. Frida was a rebel. She defied her mother, who challenged her boldness. And there's Frida in the classroom with all of the varones. She met Alejandro in school and fell in love with him. One afternoon, they took a bus that was going very fast and crashed. Frida was very badly injured, but to the doctor's disbelief, she survived. Then she had to keep still and let her bones get strong again. Yes, in the beginning, she was very bored because her back was in a cast and she had to lie on the bed looking at the ceiling. But her mother had a great idea. She dusted off an old paint box that her father had left behind in the storage room, and improvised an easel for the bed. So time would go faster and Frida would not be so bored. Frida felt lonely and bored in the beginning. Later, she wanted to show things in a different way and decided she would paint. Her mother also placed a mirror above the bed so Frida could see herself. In the beginning, it made her very angry to see that she couldn't move. But later, she decided to be her own model. If she had to see that face all day, it was going to be her source of inspiration. This is why she started painting self-portraits. She'd added animals to keep her company in her loneliness: monkeys, dogs, deer, macaws. They all parade through her paintings. After many months in bed, Frida recovered. She had already painted many pictures and wanted someone's opinion about her work. So she went to see Diego Rivera, a famous painter who was painting a mural at school. Diego fell in love with her paintings and also with her. Diego and Frida married, not once, but twice. But they also loved other people, even when they were together. As in other things, they shared that feeling more than usual at the time. So they had many friends and lovers, and Frida loved not only men but also women. And let's not forget that they lived in a country that had been through a revolution, and everything had been changed and turned upside down. They traveled to Paris. There, Frida had an exhibition of her paintings. André Breton, the founder of Surrealism, became an admirer of her paintings. He thought they were representative of that movement, but she did not believe that her paintings were surrealistic. She did not paint what was in her head, but what had happened in her everyday and what was happening in her country. Skeletons often appear in Frida's paintings because in her country, death is understood as a path, as a process towards another life. This is why November 2nd, All Souls Day, or the Day of the Dead in Mexico, is a festive day, not a sad one. People dance, have processions, wear costumes, and have picnics in cemeteries. This is a self-portrait on the Mexico-U.S. border. It is awful to see these rich people have parties while thousands and thousands are starving, Frida said in the United States. So this was in 1932. During the time when she lived in the United States, because Rivera had gone there to work, Frida missed her warm, friendly country. That is why she painted herself standing between the two countries. On one side of Mexico, with its rich history and life, beset the forces of nature, and on the other side of the world, of the United States, dead and dominated by machines. Another one of Frida's paintings, this is called The Love Embrace of the Universe, the Earth, Me, Diego, and El Señor Xolotl in 1949. And this is remade by Pitu, the illustrator. Frida holds Diego on her lap like a baby. The painting also has many elements of Mexican mythology: the night, the day, the sun, the moon, the Xicola, the earth goddess. There's also Unixquinkle, the little dog who represents on earth the dog Xolotl, the guardian of the underworld. Now, those are two Aztec words. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing them correctly. I apologize if I'm not. But most anti-princesses aren't very perfect. This painting is of the broken column. As you know, she was in an accident. Diego characterized Frida's art as having an absolute, straightforward, and fierce honesty about the world of women. Frida didn't have any children. She would have liked to, but her bones could not withstand a pregnancy because of so many fractures and surgeries. But she did have a niece and nephew, and they were the children of her sister Christina, and the three of them lived with her and Diego in the blue house. Check it out. There they are playing. It was summertime in Mexico, but Frida was shivering. She had been in bed again for many months because she had a serious infection in her lungs and had to take many medications to dull the pain. It was very risky for her to go out under these conditions. But there she was again on the move, marching in the streets to be present when the workers were demanding better salaries. Going out was not good for her, but Frida knew this, and that was her decision. Her body was going to be like a banner for the struggle. A few days later, she grew tired of fighting, and her pain let death take her. There is a belief in Mexico that the Xolotl dogs, the one that kept Frida company in her life, and in this story, carry the dead on their backs. They take them through the 9 underworld rivers towards the world where the dead will come back to life. Frida went there through the twilight with her faithful dog, Xolotl. And there she is. And this is where our story ends, but the activities begin. In the back of the book, there's all kinds of different activities. You could do a self-portrait, a portrait of a pet or an imaginary animal, a family member. You can play a game. The game that Frida calls Exquisite Corpses. I think it's a funny name. But she was pretty fascinated by death and dying. So there's one where you can take a blank sheet of paper and start drawing whatever comes to your mind, give it to a friend, and to continue working on it, and then decide what it's going to be. Or you could do this with words. You could write a word on a piece of paper, the first word that comes to your mind, fold it so no one can see it, give it to a friend, and then keep writing, and then once you're done, give it to a friend, have them write, and then read it. This is the end of the story of Frida Kahlo. This is not the end of her life. This is just the beginning of you learning about her. I encourage you to do some research to find out more. And for any other information, go to bookstillsir.org. We're happy to help you. We'd love to see you learning, and we love to share the stories of the self. Thanks so much.